After she fired him, the single dad just smiled and said, "Check who owns this building." The CEO froze. Marcus Hale had spent the last 8 years arriving at the office before sunrise. While most executives parked luxury cars in the underground garage, Marcus rode an old pickup truck with peeling paint. His faded work jacket made him look more like a maintenance worker than the quiet operations manager who kept one of the city's largest real estate companies running. No one knew that every morning before work, Marcus prepared breakfast, packed lunches, braided his 10-year-old daughter Lily's hair, and walked his 8-year-old son Noah to the school bus. Since losing his wife 3 years earlier, his entire world revolved around his children. His co-workers admired his work ethic, but many whispered behind his back, "He'll never move higher. He doesn't even dress like management. He looks broke." Marcus heard every word. He simply smiled and continued working. The company had recently appointed a new CEO. Her name was Victoria Grant. Young, brilliant, ambitious, and determined to prove she could transform the struggling corporation. Within weeks, she began replacing long-time employees with younger executives from prestigious business schools. Numbers mattered more than loyalty. Appearances mattered more than experience. Marcus stayed quiet. He believed results always spoke louder than titles. One Monday morning, Victoria walked through headquarters, inspecting every department. When she reached operations, she stopped in front of Marcus. She looked at his dusty boots, his worn jacket, his old laptop. Then she frowned. "Are you Marcus Hale?" "Yes." "I've reviewed your file." Marcus nodded calmly. She continued loudly enough for nearby employees to hear. "You've been here 8 years. Yet this department is outdated. I need people who match the company's new image." The office became silent. Marcus simply listened. Victoria pulled a white envelope from her assistant. "You're terminated." Gasps echoed through the lobby. Someone quietly whispered, "Did she really just fire Marcus?" Victoria handed him the letter. "I appreciate your service, but we're moving in a different direction." Marcus looked down at the envelope. Then he smiled. Not an angry smile, not a defeated smile, a calm one. He folded the letter carefully and placed it in his pocket. Before turning away, he looked directly at Victoria. "In that case," he said softly, "you may want to check who owns this building." The lobby froze. Victoria laughed. "I think security should escort Mr. Hale outside." Marcus simply nodded. "As you wish." Then he walked toward the elevator. Employees immediately began whispering. What did he mean? Owns the building? Did he lose his mind? Victoria ignored them. Everyone back to work? But something about Marcus's confidence bothered her. 20 minutes later, Victoria entered the executive conference room for an emergency board meeting. She expected congratulations. Instead, every board member looked unusually serious. The chairman slowly closed a thick folder. "Victoria, we have a problem." She frowned. "What happened?" The chairman slid several documents across the table. "I think you should read these." Victoria glanced at the paperwork. Then her face slowly lost color. The deed, the ownership records, the property trust. Every document carried one identical signature. Marcus Hale. Confused, she shook her head. "This can't be right. The company lawyer spoke carefully. It's correct. This headquarters isn't owned by the corporation. It's leased. Victoria looked up. Leased? From whom? Silence. Then, Marcus Hale. She stared at them. No. The lawyer nodded. 8 years ago, the company nearly collapsed. The founder couldn't afford to keep the property. A private investor purchased the building through a family trust. The investor requested complete anonymity. The board agreed because the rent was lower than market value. Victoria's heartbeat quickened. Marcus? The chairman sighed. He never wanted recognition. He only asked that employees keep their jobs. Victoria couldn't believe what she was hearing. If he owns this building, the chairman interrupted, he also owns the parking garage, the warehouse, and 2 neighboring office properties. She whispered, why would someone that wealthy work here? The oldest board member smiled. Because he loved the people. He wanted to understand every part of the business. He believed leadership begins on the ground floor. Meanwhile, Marcus sat quietly in a nearby coffee shop. Instead of calling lawyers, he called home. Hi, Dad, Lily answered excitedly. How was work? Marcus smiled. I think Daddy just got an unexpected vacation. His children laughed. That mattered more than anything else. Back at headquarters, panic spread through the executive offices. Without Marcus's lease agreement, the corporation could lose its headquarters within 90 days. Relocating would cost millions. Investors would panic. Stock prices could crash. The board unanimously agreed. Victoria needed to apologize immediately. She found Marcus sitting outside with a simple cup of coffee. He wasn't celebrating. He wasn't angry. He looked peaceful. Victoria slowly approached. I owe you an apology. Marcus looked up kindly. You don't owe me anything. No, she admitted. I judged you before knowing you. Marcus nodded. Many people do. Victoria hesitated. I don't understand. You own millions in real estate. You could live anywhere. Why work here? Marcus looked across the street. My father cleaned office buildings. My mother worked 2 jobs. When they finally saved enough to buy one small property, they taught me something. Never let success convince you you're better than someone else. He smiled. So I never stopped working. Victoria lowered her eyes. I failed today. Marcus gently shook his head. No, you were tested. Failure only becomes permanent when we refuse to learn. The board later joined them. The chairman spoke first. Marcus, we hope you'll renew the lease. Marcus thought for a moment, then smiled. I will. Everyone breathed with relief. But, he added, under one condition. What condition? No employee will ever again be judged by their clothes, their car, or their paycheck. Only by their character. Without hesitation, every board member agreed. Over the following months, remarkable changes swept through the company. Anonymous employee suggestions became mandatory reading. Promotion policies focused on performance instead of appearance. Managers attended leadership workshops centered on humility and respect. Employee turnover dropped dramatically. Productivity reached record levels. People smiled again. Victoria changed more than anyone. She personally greeted janitors each morning. She learned employees' names. She listened before making decisions. When mistakes happened, she coached instead of humiliating. Gradually, people stopped fearing the CEO. They began respecting her. One afternoon, months later, Marcus was leaving work when Victoria caught up with him. "I've wanted to ask you something," he smiled. "What is it?" "Why didn't you tell everyone you owned the building?" Marcus looked toward the sunset. "Because respect earned through kindness lasts longer than respect demanded through wealth." Victoria quietly nodded. She finally understood. Years later, new employees often heard the famous story. Not because someone had been fired, but because one simple sentence transformed an entire company. "Check who owns this building." It wasn't about money. It wasn't about power. It was a reminder that true greatness rarely announces itself. The strongest people don't need expensive suits to prove their worth. The wisest leaders don't measure people by appearances. And sometimes, the quiet single father standing beside you has already built something far greater than anyone could ever imagine. Not just buildings, but a legacy of humility, compassion, and character that no title could ever replace.